It is now 6 p.m. and I'm calling this special meeting of the San Benito County Planning Commission to order. Please be seated. If we could read the temporary procedures.
Absolutely. The San Benito County Planning Commission welcomes your comments. When addressing the commission via Zoom, phone, or in chambers, please state your name and county in which you reside for the record. Please address the commission as a whole through the chair. If participating via Zoom, select the Participants tab and click the Raise Hand icon. If you are using a phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. When your turn arrives, you will hear that you have been unmuted. If you are participating in person at the chambers, please complete a speaker card identifying the item on which you wish to speak and provide your completed card to the clerk prior to consideration of the item. Speaker cards are available on the table at the entrance to the chambers, and we will go through all in-person comments before we move over to comments through Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance, Commissioner Ringhayden, if you could lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we could get a roll call, please.
Absolutely. District 1, Vincent Ringhayden.
Present.
District 2, Richard Way.
Present.
District 3, Robert Scaliotti.
Present.
District 4, Robert Gibson.
Present.
District 5, Celeste Toledo Bocanegra.
Present.
All commissioners are present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Consent agenda. Can we get a motion on the acknowledgement of the certificate of posting?
I'll move that we acknowledge the certificate of posting.
Okay. Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Regular agenda 5.1.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission, members of the audience. Good evening. Abraham Prado, Director of Planning and Building Services. At the Special Planning Commission meeting of October 11th, 2023, the Planning Commission continued the public hearing for the John Smith Road landfill expansion to the date certain of Wednesday, October 25th, Friday, October 27th, and Monday, October 30th, 2023. The Planning Commission held public hearings on these separate days for the John Smith Road landfill expansion project and listened to various aspects of the project in each of these public hearings. At the Special Planning Commission meeting of Monday, October 30th, 2023, the Planning Commission continued the public hearing to a date certain of today, Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. The county recently received a letter from the applicant requesting the continuance of the public hearing of the John Smith Road landfill expansion. And if it's okay with the chair and the commission, I will now pass it on to outside county counsel Bree Muivas. She is not present today, but she is through Zoom. And she will address the commission on the letter that was received by the applicant pertaining to the request for a continuance for today's public hearing. Bree is joining us via teleconference. Bree?
Good evening, Commission. As Abraham just explained to you, we did receive a request on January 29th from the applicant that you continue the hearing tonight. And so I would encourage the Commission to first consider that request before proceeding with the hearing. And you may also take public comment limited to the request for continuance before you would take action on that item. I'm available and staff available if you have any questions, and also I understand Waste Connections has a representative there tonight if you have any questions for the applicant as well.
Thank you. Do we have any questions at this time regarding the continuance from staff or council before we go to a limited public comment and then back to the commission for some sort of action?
I wasn't notified of this until just now. So I really want to read the applicant's request.
Okay. Does Commissioner Ringhayden have that in some form, whether electronic or printed? Okay.
For the record, it was just forwarded to their emails.
Okay. Very good. Then we can open up public comment. At this time, the Planning Commission is considering the request for a continuance only, and therefore public comment should be limited to any comments about the requested continuance. Please do not provide general comments about the proposed project or other comments that are not related to the requested continuance. And for that reason, the comment should be brief because it's only on a continuance. So public comment will be limited to 1 minute. If you have not brought up your comment cards, please do so now, and we will start public comment. Then we will go to Zoom, and once we complete the Zoom, we will not come back to the chambers, so please make sure you have your comment cards put in now.
If you already submitted a comment card, I will call your name and we will limit your comments to a continuance if that is your wish. If you do not wish to speak to the continuance, we do not have to take your public comment. So we're going to start with Jackie Morris Lopez, please. Please approach the podium.
One moment, please.
Good evening. My name is Jackie Morris Lopez, San Juan Bautista resident, longtime county resident, and current city council member of the city of San Juan. I am welcoming this continuance. It's untimely, but I think it gives more time for the public, everyone in the county, to take a harder look at these information about this landfill expansion. I don't want to be known as a county that is a dumping ground for outside counties and
Okay.
outside state
Thank you.
corporations. Continuance is well needed at this time for more review.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we have Victoria Montoya. Please approach the podium. Victoria Montoya.
Yes, I'm a registered voter and I'm here for moral support and asking that you guys do not postpone this meeting no longer than February 17, so we can know more about what's going on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary Shaw Karan, please approach the podium.
I just want to say that a lot of us have been to quite a few meetings, and I do not think you should continue this. This started in October, and I think we were all promised that there would be a decision made today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Andy Shaw Karan, please approach the podium.
Good evening. It makes no sense to me that there'd be a continuance based on the request of the applicant. They've had plenty of time to get their proposals together, to get their arguments together, and you've made this kind of a time certain that you were going to get the community involved. People have planned, have talked about it. There's been lots of discussion in the community regarding the issue, and as you can see, a lot of people have shown up to participate. It seems to me that the applicant should be ready to, present, put it to you, and you should make a decision.
Thank you.
Okay, Barbara Tadeo, please approach the podium. You're only talking about the continuance. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I call Barbara Tadeo? Oh, yes. Hi.
My name is Barbara Tadeo, and I live at Heatherwood Estates. This shouldn't be continued, especially after I know you received the letter from the city council on this landfill. It should go before the voters. So it shouldn't be continued any longer.
Thank you.
Okay, Bridget Bowman Thorpe, please approach the podium. You will have 1 minute.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bridget Bowman Thorpe. I just heard about the letter today, and this is just outrageous that Waste Connection can make this request when we were waiting for this meeting for 3 months. It was postponed for 3 months. I remember in October when you actually wanted to fast track it. Now, Waste Connection doesn't run this county. Who is running this county really? It's you. You are the leaders. You are running this county. So please don't give the convenience to Waste Connection.
Thank you.
Pete Munoz Cowan, please approach the podium.
Good evening, gentlemen. Yes, we would like to see a vote tonight, if at all possible, move this thing along before the upcoming election. That's the reality is we need to see a fair and good election this primary, and this is a key issue. So please, guys, let's do this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elia Munoz Cowan, please approach the podium.
Hello, I'm Elia Munoz Cowan, and I've been a resident of Hollister for 35 years. Anyway, I urge you not to consider the continuance that Waste Connections is requesting, especially at such short notice. If it was just, I found out about it today too, and I think and that one of your members just found out today, it's just not right. It shouldn't be done that way, and it should not really even be considered on your part, because everybody else has been waiting for 3 months. I think they need to do their homework. They need to have their work ready, just like everybody else is supposed to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jan Grist, please approach the podium.
Good evening. I'm a resident of Rancho Santana. I also agree that we should have I would like to see it go to a vote to the people. And without that, then maybe you make a decision tonight, but I don't think Waste Connection should be stopping your panel from making a decision.
Thank you.
Tricia Betancourt? Sorry, Teresa?
It's Teresa Betancourt.
Sorry.
I was prepared this evening to speak about the project. I wasn't aware of the continuance. I think it is abnormal that they would actually last minute make this decision. Just a ploy on their part. It's just part of their strategy, and I don't think you show much respect to the people if you honor them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Barry Katz, please approach the podium.
Good evening. I'm Barry Katz. I live in Aromas. I too am against the continuance. Frankly, this project stinks right now. It's stunk for months. It's not going to get any better, and it's time to move on it. It's time to move on it. We need to knock this down tonight, get rid of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fallon Gregg?
Good evening. My name's Fallon Gregg. I'm a longtime resident of San Benito County, and I am just floored that you are being asked for a continuance on the day of the meeting. I am totally against the continuance. Let's go forward. We've been working on this for months. It's time to move it forward, have it settled. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Robles, please approach the podium.
Good evening, commissioners. I hope you are having a good week. I can say with great certainty that your applicant is not. There's a lot of stuff going on with the applicant, particularly in Los Angeles with the dump fire down there. I have
Sir,
to
if you
say-
could speak about the continuance only.
Absolutely, I'm moving on with that. This continuance smells of political influence from the applicant, unfortunately, and I urge all of you to consider putting this entire matter to a vote by the people next election, whatever the case may be. Too many lives are being impacted, so I request that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Elvia, I just want to confirm you didn't want to speak to the continuance. Okay, thank you. Carl Scow.
Good evening, Carl Scow, San Benito County resident. I think it's an insult to our residents. We've sat through meeting after meeting, been limited to 2 minutes to speak. We've done our piece. We've sat through October, we sat through December. We come to the meeting here, you've got a full room, and then the applicants at the last second say that we can, that they request that you don't even act upon this. They've put their case forwards. This has been drilled over and over and over. You're a smart group, you know what's going on, and I hope that you act upon this tonight. It is an insult to all of these people in the room to be told at the last second that they're not even going to want you to act on it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Manny Amaral, please approach the podium.
Good evening. My name is Manny Amaral, and I feel the same way everyone else has done so far. I think it's preposterous that this has all of the odor of a mega idea, because to think that they could just stall this along and think that we're going to be happy with this, I think it's just preposterous. We wait and we wait and we wait, and we get nothing, and this has the smell of games, all the elements of playing games with us. For me, I think it, more than ever, should go up to the people's vote, and please, please move this along. Don't make these people wait any longer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard Rosenthal, did you want to speak to the continuance? Okay.
Relative to the continuance, what I propose is using it to our advantage. If you do not let us vote tonight, at my expense and with the people here, we'll do an electrical resistivity survey and prove that that dump has contaminated this place to hell and back again. As for the expansion, I approve it so we can spread the garbage we've got so it's not continuing to pollute everything in its path.
Okay.
So anyone here this evening that wants to meet with me after, if they don't let us vote, we'll provide the
Thank you,
proof
sir.
we need to shut them down.
Maureen Nelson.
And to yourself.
Thank you.
Good evening. For the benefit of everybody here, I'd like to read the letter that came to us just today. This is from the lawyer for Waste Solutions. On behalf of Waste Solutions of San Benito County, this letter requests a continuance of the public hearing for the above referenced matter. We think that the Planning Commission, I have to do this slowly because my phone, take no action on the project at the currently scheduled hearing of January 31st. We request a continuance to a date certain, preferably a special meeting that will take place on Wednesday, March 6th. Well, guess what? The primaries are March 5th. Do you think this is really showing their stripes? This is uncalled for. Take the
applause,
vote
please.
tonight.
Hold your applause. No applause. Thank you.
Take the vote tonight. Do not play this political game with Waste Connections, Waste Solutions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carly Robles.
Can you hold your applause until the end, please?
Carly Robles.
Okay. This continuation is most likely happening because Waste Connections wants to wait until after the primaries for the new administration so they can most likely bribe them. It's been documented back east that they have bribed politicians. It's unfair you are putting a corporation before your own constituents. This landfill should be voted on by the people, and that should happen tonight. Because in the meantime, all the fires are burning down in LA.
Thank you.
Google it.
Bill Hunter.
Well, obviously, there's a lot of people that would like to speak to this. And it doesn't seem right that we should be doing this, at Waste Connections convenience. There's a lot of us would like to see you make some kind of a decision would help us when we vote in this up and coming election. You know, so we want to see what you guys are up to. Putting it off till the 6th doesn't give us much of a chance there, does it?
Thank you.
Tom Armbruster.
With all due respect, gentlemen and ladies, there are a lot of people in this community who have taken a lot of time out of their own personal lives and away from their own families over the last several years on this project. There are people who have put more time or an equivalent amount of time into this than you have. The only reason that they would at the last minute advance a request of postponing this is for their own advantage. If there was a logical and reasonable explanation of the request, people might have to consider it. There's nothing in the letter that states why a company who has the ability to be prepared and to be prepared on time.
Thank you.
Couldn't have it done now.
Neil Anderson, please approach the podium.
Hello, my name's Neil Anderson. I'm a resident of San Benito County. I saw this letter, and you know, as the rest of you say, I think it stinks. There's no reason. They give us no reason. They're holding the reasons close to their chest. They're not being open with us. There's no transparency in why they want a continuation. You know, where I come from, if something looks bad and people are telling you it's bad, it's usually bad. The people in this room are all, almost to a person so far, are against the continuation. I wouldn't understand why we would be for a continuation when the people that are supposed to be represented by our leaders are telling you, no continuation. Let's move forward. Let's get this in before the next election and see where things lay. Waste Connections doesn't own this county and they don't run this county. That's supposed to be us, individually, as Americans and as voters. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to apologize in advance. Brenda Smithy.
Hi, my name is Brenda Smithy, and like everyone else, I opposed the landfill expansion anyways, and then also the route up Best Road, and then the postponement. It seems
okay. We're just speaking about the continuance this evening.
Continuance, yes. So, but it seems like it's not a coincidence that they want to continue it until after the election. It seems like a very strategic move on their part. And I don't think that we should bend to them. And we're not allowed to speak as to the safety of Best Road? No?
Not this evening,
Okay,
no.
Just then, I just oppose the continuance. It's very strategic and favorable for waste management, not for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa Erzna. Apologies again.
Hello, supervisors. I hope you take into consideration that you have a large
preponderance of people here who don't want the continuance, and I too am with them in support of that. I don't think that the waste management people should be so ill-prepared. They're a very large company. They should have had their ducks in line before they brought it to you and they brought it to us. So I do not agree with the continuance.
Thank you.
Joseph Howard, please approach the podium.
I'll be honest, I can't really say anything that they haven't already said, but it is all true, actually. In fact, it's a well-known strategic playbook move, textbook maneuver to do things like this, to move things farther out. Causes disruption, it causes confusion, disorganization. People sometimes can't, people have been planning for this for a long time. Now they have to move it over, and that might be harder to do. They know this, of course. They're a Texas-based company that really knows what they're doing. They were valued at $37 billion like 2 years ago. You got to figure they're richer than that by now, probably like 40s or something like that. Last I checked. They spent $30,000 to defeat Measure Q, which would have given us the right to vote
Sir, we're
anyways.
talking about the continuance this evening.
I'm well aware of that. The thing is that this is with this continuance is that this is a company from Texas asking you to take care of this issue. But you have no duty to them. You have the duty to us. All of you have the duty to us. So, Waste Connections is not here right now. We are.
Okay, thank you.
Rudy Pichet, please approach the podium.
You just started me out a little bit early there. Take time to get this right. That's what I'm going to title this one, right? Let's take the time to get this right, you guys. Contrary to popular belief, John Smith Road landfill's being run pretty well. I don't know if you guys know it, but you can recycle a whole bunch of stuff, your old TV.
Can you stick to the continuance,
I
please?
know. I've got a minute. We need to slow this thing down. Let's just take the time to get this right. Let's take this time to collect our thoughts, our feelings, our emotional outbursts. Let's work with the with the Planning Commission, the City Council, the supervisors. Let's take this time to make some good decisions. We need a good facility, and this is a super important decision. Let's slow things down. Let's figure this out. What do we need? What do we want? Do we need to grow it? I don't know. Let's figure it out together. Slow it down. Let's make good decisions together.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to apologize. I can't read the name on this card at all. I think it might say Troop at the end, a B or S at the beginning. If you wrote in blue ink and your name hasn't been called, you might want to come back and give me another comment card. Annette Perez, please approach the podium.
Hello, everybody. Hello, commissioners. So, when I read this letter that was provided to me today before this very important meeting, I kept reading it and kept thinking, okay, so they're asking for it. Why? Why is there reason? And then I saw, oh, but Waste Solutions Group would like to set the date on top of that. So they give us no reason, and they want to set the date to be the day after the primary election. So now, how crooked is Waste Solutions Group that not only are going to tell our county what to do, and then on top of that, give you a date when they would like you to hear from them? I'm sorry, all of us have been spending several months now. We all knew the date. It was January 31st. We're all prepared to talk to you about why this expansion is a bad news for us. I think this smells very crooked, like dirty politics. They are waiting for, I don't know, maybe their candidate that they have supported for the primary election.
Thank you.
Julio Rodriguez, please approach the podium.
Hello, former colleagues and friends. I would have liked a decision to have been made tonight, ideally. You know, in politics, I guess it's never a good time to make a decision. You know, oh, it's an election year. Oh, I mean, to me, it just sounds, it sounds like they're banking in on some key votes for supervisors. You know, I'm just saying. So I would, if I were the public, I would really, you know, research your candidate. Anyways, a little disappointed. I'll be honest that Waste Connections gets to run our. It feels like Waste Connections gets to run our county. You know, if we were pulling a permit for your house and we messed up, would we get the same leeway? I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Bella Rosales, please approach the podium.
Hi everyone. So like almost all of the folks here, I'm completely against the continuance. There's absolutely no good reason to delay this when we're all aware that the people of this county don't want the expansion. So let us vote on it. It's just that simple. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, one last chance for my mystery comment card. Did anyone submit a comment card and did not get to speak? I cannot read this name, so it will not be called. No.
If there are any additional speakers in the audience, please submit your card now, because once we go to Zoom, we are not coming back to the chambers.
Christina Chavez Wyatt.
Good evening, Chair Gibson, Planning Commission, honorable staff, neighbors. My name is Christina Chavez Wyatt. I'm a county small business owner, regular user of the landfill for e-waste, recycling, household hazardous waste management. I'm a resident at Sunny Slope in Fairview and a consultant to the San Benito County Business Council, representing 6,000 employees within the county.
Please don't interrupt speakers.
Support
They
the
didn't interrupt
continuance
you.
for facts and public information to be disseminated to the public. Rates and cost implications for a transfer station estimated at $27 million, possibly in the form of a parcel tax.
Are you sticking to the continuance,
An
please?
additional consideration of a compost facility at an estimated cost of $16 million.
Mrs. Wyatt, please stick to the continuance like all the other speakers did.
And also in consideration of the budget impacts
Can you
of
cut the mic?
$600 to $700 million to fix Highway 25.
Okay, Alicia Aker, sorry.
Are there any more, before we go, hold on one moment. Are there any more speaker cards out in the chambers? I will not take any after this young lady if you don't come out now. Thank you.
Hi. Okay, so I'd just like to say that I'm an educator in this community. I'm also a mother of 3. And in order for me to be here where I want to be, I have to go through a lot. I have to get a babysitter. I have to plan all around it. And that's really something that's important to me. And I do not think we should continue for that reason.
Thank you.
Alrighty, and through Zoom, Sarah Steiner, you have been unmuted.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. And I just want to say, if you're unable to make a decision and you continue to acquiesce to Waste Solutions, Waste Connections, then let the voters decide. Thank you.
Thank you. One more hand.
Okay, Loretta Avina, you have been unmuted.
Thank you very much. So I want to say that I'm completely against this continuum. This is a big corporation playing political games. If you allow this to be held after the primary, then you're nothing but a pawn in this game that they're playing. I urge you not to continue and allow we the people, you're representing us, to make this decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment via Zoom?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I'm trying to say it. Mary Grimm, you have been unmuted. Mary, you have the ability to unmute yourself.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I'm opposed to this continuance and would like to see a vote for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment is closed. Where are they? I'm not seeing them.
Oh, they just dropped it.
Okay, public comment is closed. Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have the applicant or the representative online to discuss perhaps the details of why they want a continuance? There has to be some sort of explanation that's plausible, given that all these people have come out.
I can speak to it.
Are you the attorney?
No, I'm not.
Okay. You do? Okay. Okay, then if you could please provide an explanation to the commission, and there's no time on this.
Could you state your name and title for the record, please?
My name is David Jappert. I'm District General Manager. I help oversee the operations of the John Smith Road landfill. Waste Solutions of San Benito County asked for a continuance of this hearing based on a meeting held last week with several stakeholders.
Would you please not interrupt speakers, or I will clear the chambers? That is a last warning. This is representing the applicant. There is no time limit.
So again, we asked for a continuance of the hearing based on a meeting held last week with several stakeholders. We're considering how best to react to the issues raised at that meeting, and we need some time to do that so we can come back with an updated presentation for the commission to consider. Regarding the schedule, we'll be ready as early as February 28th, prior to the election, or anytime in March. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Back to the commission for discussion. What are the thoughts? Commissioner Way.
Oh, yes, I have some thoughts. So, I have an issue with the continuance schedule as proposed by the applicant. As others have mentioned, an election is coming up on March the 5th, but in reality, ballots are being mailed out early next week. And a substantial majority of people in San Benito County vote by mail early. So basically, the election is early next week for all intents and purposes. This project is, of course, not on the ballot. However, if we don't vote tonight, or at least by next week, then the public doesn't get to see on the record which commissioners do and do not support this project. Although we're an independent body from the Board of Supervisors, each commissioner is appointed by their respective county supervisor, and it could reasonably be inferred that, at least in most cases, their thinking would probably be aligned with that of the corresponding supervisor. Therefore, knowledge of how a commissioner voted could be important to the public in deciding whether to support a supervisor for re-election, particularly if the corresponding commissioner were to take an unpopular position on this project in advance of people casting supervisorial ballots. I am therefore in favor of, at most, a much briefer continuance of this meeting, even if it means to a day other than a Wednesday. After all, there is precedent for planning commission meetings on other days of the week, even as recently as last October. In addition, all these people went to considerable effort to come here, and they deserve some closure. Many of them may not be able to attend a continuance. Waiting as long as is being requested would deprive the public of important information and do them a disservice.
Commissioner Ringhayden.
Yeah, I had some thoughts as well. It's kind of tough because I didn't get this till just now. That's a little irritating for me, but it also seems like a lot of people have put in a lot of effort to get to this point now, hoping to get a decision from us. And I think the public deserves a decision. I think that's my position.
Okay. Commissioner Toledo.
So we have had an experience with a prior decision where we did not give a continuance to the applicant, and there were consequences. I believe now the county is being sued. So in this case, would that be a possibility if we deny a continuance?
That would be a Bree question or a Sean question. County Council, either one. Are you available to offer your opinion?
This is Bree Mobius with Hefner Law, outside counsel. Give an opinion, and then if Mr. Cameron wants to add anything to it. I am not aware of a prior one where the county's in litigation over not requesting a continuance. I have not been presented with any legal argument why the commission is required to grant the continuance. The Council for Waste Connections is on, and given the late request, I would encourage the commission to ask Council for Waste Connections if there is a legal reason that they can articulate why you are required to grant the continuance. Generally, it is in your discretion. I would say staff would request a short recess to prepare so that we could move forward tonight. Obviously, I'm not there in light of the requested continuance, and some of the consultants are not as either.
Okay, thank you. Sean, did you have anything to add? Otherwise, we'll go to the applicant's attorney.
No, nothing to add to that.
Okay, thank you. If we can go to Mr. Ziski?
Oh, yeah, Michael. Michael, you have been unmuted.
Thank you. Can you hear me, commissioners?
Yes.
The reason for the continuance is your question was, I didn't come prepared to talk about legal arguments pro and con and the continuance. I think it's in the commission's discretion. As stated by Mr. Jappert, there was a meeting with some stakeholders. We want to react to that meeting. It takes some time to do that and to think about how best to do it. And that was the entire reason for the timing in the letter, which is timing that I suggested. It was not based on the election. It's based on needing to spend some technical time thinking about the input we have, how to respond to it. And that's really all we can say now because we haven't decided the ways in which we can respond.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Scagliotti?
I have one more question.
Oh, Commissioner Toledo first, then Commissioner Scagliotti.
So what I'm hearing is March 6th was the applicant's decision to make that date?
Well, that was their suggestion. They
Their
don't make a
suggestion.
decision. We do. We
Okay.
could carry on
Suggestion.
the hearing tonight.
Okay, thank you.
What is the consensus of the commission? Do we want to carry on? Do you have any? Yeah.
I don't know how to word what I want to say. There is a reason that they want a continuance, and I understand why. If I'd be allowed to speak, I might say something. Thank you. There is a reason. The deep reason I don't know, but I know there's a reason. There's been other public agencies besides us that have gotten involved, and they want some answers from Waste Solutions. And that's why they're asking for this. So that's my opinion, and that's what I have to say.
Okay. So does one of the commissioners have a motion whether we continue or proceed with this hearing? If we proceed, our outside attorney needs 10 minutes to prepare.
Well, I would like to suggest that we do a continuance, however, not until March. It would definitely be, and I'm sorry for everyone, I admire everyone being here. I just want to make sure that we don't get ourselves in a situation where it could hurt the county.
Please be respectful down there. Thank you.
I have a question of the,
So you want to do a shorter continuance? Did you have anything to add to the continuance?
no, one to ask the applicant what date, you mentioned some dates prior
I'd like
to
to
the
hear
absence?
from the applicant a little bit more as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
could you come up, please?
Come up again, sir.
As our attorney Michael said, they just recommended the 6th. We can be ready by the 28th of February is the date that we can hit. We chose a Wednesday.
Could you enlighten us a little more as to why you want the continuance? Could you give us a little more information?
I personally wasn't involved in the conversations, so I don't have a lot of the detail, but I know they've been talking to some key stakeholders and getting some feedback, and they want an opportunity to address those.
Who do you mean by key stakeholders?
I don't know specifically who they talked to, if it was in the
People in the audience, please contain yourselves.
And so I don't have the details on that. Mr. Ziski may have some of the details on that, but you know,
Could
so
maybe you can
important
enlighten us?
information that we want to take in and
Well,
make adjustments.
I
and
think we need
address.
more specifics in order to continue. All these people have shown up. We've been preparing for this since October. It's kind of not looking good at this moment, so I would suggest Mr. Ziske comes and says something that changes our minds.
Okay.
And also, I just wanted I appreciate everybody's cooperation with Mr. Gibson and being respectful, first of all. But I think you owe us some kind of, I mean, you can't come up and say, well, there's a reason I can't tell you why. But I'll be glad to tell you why on this state here. I'm confused by that.
Okay. I wasn't involved in the meetings
I understand
of
that.
last week, so I don't have the
But you're
detail.
here representing them.
Was Mr. Ziske, was he there?
Yeah, Mr. Zitz.
Okay, then if he could please speak before we take an action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is he unmuted?
Yes, Michael, you've been unmuted.
Thank you, Commissioners. I was not at the meetings. I understand that there were meetings, and I may not know all of them. There were meetings with representatives of the city of Hollister and the city of San Juan Bautista. I believe also some people from the county. In response to those meetings, we are looking at what we can propose, within the bounds of things that have been looked at in the EIR in terms of tonnage and haul routes. And we don't know what that looks like yet. And we have to talk to technical people to see what works. So it's a matter of taking the time to come up with something that then goes to the commission, and you can decide, and the stakeholders can decide whether we have responded sufficiently to the concerns that have been raised.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner, so we have one suggestion to continue, but to a much earlier date than March 6th. Commissioner Ringhay, or actually, I'll go to Commissioner Way. What is your suggestion?
Well, I just want to point out that, you talk about needing to respond to the stakeholders and answer their questions. Well, if the questions had been from this commission, then I would totally understand. But when you talk about, questions from stakeholders that I don't even know what your definition of stakeholder is, to be honest. So I stand by my initial position on this. So, sorry, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So we seem to, are we gonna continue this to a date that's soon, or are we gonna take a vote and proceed?
I suggest no later.
Bob rule does not exist, so please contain yourselves. We will clear the chambers. I mean, that is the last time. Can we be clear?
The only suggestion I ask is no later than February 7th.
Sixth, I thought it was. That was 6th.
7th would be the Wednesday.
7th?
Yeah.
Where's my
7th.
calendar? Okay.
I'm not doing it Valentine's Day.
Oh, we could do, we could reschedule the ethics
Fully
training.
understand what the reason is.
But are they gonna be able to come up with anything in a week? That's the question. Otherwise, why delay it again? But if they're saying they need till the 28th, I'm not willing to give them till the 28th.
Right. And
So-
I'm sorry, I
was
just
hoping
realized
to
I
get
was
a
discussing
reason
this
why we
with the mic
wanted to
off.
extend. I
Well,
mean,
apparently we're not gonna get it.
Yeah, we're not. Yep.
So are we gonna proceed with this? Then we need to give outside counsel 10 minutes to prepare to continue.
Well, do
Or are
we
we
need a
gonna-
motion to proceed, or do we?
Yeah,
or-
we need a consensus. If we're gonna proceed, we need a consensus. If we're gonna continue, we need a motion.
I'm sorry, forgive me, but from a procedural standpoint, it seems like if we're going to continue, then it's business as usual, and it's only if we intended to, I'm sorry, if, continue is the wrong word here. If we're going to continue discussing it tonight, then it's business as usual, and it's only if we were going to grant the continuance that we would need a motion to do that.
Correct.
Am I wrong on that?
Correct, but our council needs a few minutes to prepare to continue, to proceed with
Got it,
this
got it,
meeting if
got
we
it.
wanna proceed.
Okay, I'm sorry. Too many continues. Got it.
Yep.
If I may, Chair Gibson, I would encourage the commission to take a vote either way, just given the discussion, the public comment we've taken on this issue, and just so there's a clear record of the decision. If the decision is to proceed with the hearing tonight, I would encourage you to take a vote on that. And if the decision is to continue to date certain, to vote on that as well.
Okay, so is there some sort of consensus where we're gonna head? Do we wanna proceed with the hearing this evening and, come to a conclusion?
Yes.
Or do, yes?
For me.
Yes? Commissioner Toledo, are you willing to proceed? Commissioner Scagliotti?
No.
Okay, so we have a consensus that 4 want to proceed because I want to proceed. So, council, you need 10 minutes to prepare? Bree?
Yes, please, at least.
Okay. Okay, so we will take a 10-minute recess while council prepares, and we will continue with this public hearing. Thank you. We will be back at 7:01. Please take your seats, or if you would like to continue speaking, please go to the lobby. The meeting is back in session. Staff disappeared. Staff disappeared. We're just waiting a few seconds for staff to return so that the meeting is actually running. And if you don't have comment cards for the public comment, please fill them out and bring them to the table, because we will be having public comment as we are proceeding. Sure, we could go through the cards as long as everybody submitted them. We can. Stephanie, if you could just reuse the cards, and then other people that don't have them can proceed to bring them forward. So as we go to public comment, I just want to remind you to please be civil and no jeering, and please no clapping either. We just like to proceed in an orderly manner. Your clapping prohibits people online from hearing what's being said. Thank you. Are we ready to roll, or are we still waiting on folks to show up?
Bree, are you ready?
I am here. Can you see my presentation in the PowerPoint?
No.
CMAP, could you please, there we go, we can see it.
Okay. Chair Gibson, would you like me to begin?
Please proceed.
Okay. Well, good evening. We are here for the 5th public hearing in the landfill expansion project. And to give a little background, you originally heard this project on October 11th, 2023, and then we had 3 separate hearings on various topics. We had public comment at each meeting, and your commission continued it to today's date on October 30th. To provide a general process today, if any commissioners have any additional disclosures, meaning ex parte communications that you had, a site visit, or anything that you haven't disclosed yet, or that has happened since October 30th to today, I would ask that you make those additional disclosures at this time, please.
Commissioner Ringhayden?
No disclosures.
Commissioner Scagliotti?
Small chat with Paul Nelson.
And the meeting at the epicenter.
And a meeting at the epicenter with council.
Okay, yep. I had a brief conversation with Mr. Nelson last week, I guess, in regards to the continuance. I also had a meeting with representatives from the landfill and Ms. Mobius last week, or possibly the week before. I don't know. Time runs quickly. Commissioner Way?
Just a meeting with staff, but nothing out of the ordinary.
Commissioner Toledo?
Same meeting with council and staff about a week ago in regards to today's meeting.
There we go. We've all disclosed. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I will give a brief presentation with updates from October 30th, from where we left off, and then also just stepping back because there's a lot of information before you, just giving an overview of the decisions before you. Then if there's any remaining public comment, then I would ask the chair to close the public hearing. And if there are any responses or clarifications you'd like from staff or from the applicant, you may do so. And then obviously your commission would deliberate and take action.
Thank you.
As an update, and it's in the agenda packet, that we were asked to estimate the reductions of emissions if renewable diesel was used in lieu of standard fuel. And this is just an excerpt from the memo that is in your agenda packet that is showing that it would make meaningful reductions in emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, to use renewable diesel. And that would range throughout the life of the project, and the blue bar is the lower end and the gray bar is the higher end, but that there would be reductions. So because of that information, there is a new mitigation measure that was added to the EAR, and it's mitigation measure 4.4-1E3 through 5, and it is in the agenda packet. But to give an overview, To summarize what it is that it would require contracts with out-of-county landfill customers or commercial waste haulers to use renewable diesel or instead of standard fuel or other technology. And for renewable diesel, they would be required to use it if it's available within 10 additional miles of the haul route. And the reason behind that being is that there is a reduction in emissions from using renewable diesel, but if they're driving substantially farther to obtain it, then they're causing more emissions along that route. And so we did the objective threshold of 10 additional miles, and it would be required to be used. For low emission technology, it would be required to be used if it is feasible and commercially available with proven technology and reasonably commercially feasible to implement. If it is not feasible at the time that a contract is executed with Waste Connections and a landfill customer, then it would be required to have a different contract clause that would require it to be used within 30 days of the county determining that it would be feasible, and it would require annual submissions to the county of why something is not feasible yet. And this is a summary here, but the full mitigation measure is in the revised mitigation monitoring and reporting plan. For haul route enforcement, your commission asked for the penalties to be increased, and so condition of approval 1C was revised, and it would provide for penalties escalating up to $2,500, $5,000, and $7,500. The amount of the penalty would be submitted to the county, but the applicant will be required to be responsible to collect and resolve any disputes with a vehicle operator with those penalties, so that the county would not be involved in that process. And a driver would be suspended if there was 3 years, would be suspended for 3 years if there were 3 violations within a 1-year period. And a company would be suspended if there are 3 violations by 3 drivers within a 3-year period, then that company would be suspended for 1 year. And that provision would not apply to contracts that the applicant has existing today, and those with Morgan Hill and Gilroy. And this is just the condition itself. And from what's in your agenda packet, the only revision is that it's a 1-year period for the drivers and instead of a 3-year period. So I'm just showing you the change there, but that we are proposing to change that from what's in your agenda packet today. And are there any questions on the updated items before I proceed to just an overview of the decisions tonight?
Any questions from the commissioners?
No.
No.
So the requested project approvals by the applicant are 2. One is an approval of the conditional use permit, and we'll go over in a little bit that requires you to make decisions on all the components of the conditional use permit and the project. To approve the conditional use permit, you must also certify the environmental impact report and adopt the CEQA findings of fact and statement of overriding considerations, and adopt the CEQA mitigation measures and the mitigation monitoring and reporting plan. You also need to make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to approve the general plan amendment in order to approve the project. Currently, the land use designations for the project area are rangeland and agriculture, and they would need to be amended to public, quasi-public in order to implement the project. The Planning Commission, because a general plan amendment is a legislative act, the Planning Commission only makes a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors on the general plan amendment. If you approve the conditional use permit, it cannot take effect unless and until the Board of Supervisors approves the general plan amendment. You also would be required, in order to approve the project and certify the AR, to adopt a CEQA statement of overriding considerations. And we've discussed that in the prior hearings as well. And the reason for that, and it's required by CEQA, is that because the AR has identified significant and unavoidable environmental impacts from the expansion project, you're required to make what CEQA calls a statement of overriding considerations. That requires your commission to balance the unavoidable environmental risks of a project against economic, legal, social, technological, or other benefits of the project. And in that process, you're determining whether the benefits of the project outweigh the environmental impacts, so that the environmental impacts are acceptable. And you'll recall the environmental impact report concludes that the project will have significant and unavoidable impacts to greenhouse gas emissions, aesthetics impacts, and cumulative air quality impacts. In making this statement of overriding considerations, your commission may consider the revenue the county would receive under the landfill operating agreement and the county's cost of the expansion project in determining whether you can make the statement of overriding considerations. And here this slide tries to break down the decisions in order to approve the conditional use permit, the decisions you would have to make today. Obviously, the first would be whether you would approve or deny the conditional use permit. If it is approved, you would need to decide what the daily tonnage would be. For a reduced ton alternative, you would need to decide what the daily peak would be, and whether to allow the expansion footprint the same as for the proposed project, or a reduced footprint that would have less years of operation. And those were analyzed in different alternatives in the AR. You would also set the maximum weekly out-of-county trucks. You would set the haul route for out-of-county commercial haul trucks. And you would direct staff if there are any revisions to conditions of approval you would like to see, or mitigation measures that you would like to have changed or staff look at. Going on to the daily tonnage decision, this slide does try to break down the options that were analyzed in the AR for you. And so on the left column, we have the proposed project, which was 2,300 tons, and then alternative 1A and 1B, which are 1,700 tons, alternatives 2A and 2B of 1,000 tons, and alternative 3 of 300 tons. The conditional use permit sets this as a weekly maximum of tons buried. And so that column tells you what that amount would be, with each of those, what that weekly tonnage would be. And the column next to it just demonstrates that the number of the weekly maximum tons buried is actually less than the number of what we've called, for example, the 1,700 ton alternative. And the reason for that is that the EAR relied on the fact that the applicant is bringing in less than its full tonnage when it was accepting out-of-county waste, the full 1,000. It was bringing in slightly less with that. So to be consistent with the EAR, we calculated that tonnage with that same assumption, and that's why it is not, for example, 1,700 times 7 days. It is actually that 1,569 number. Part of that would be setting a daily peak. And here is what the daily peaks would be consistent with the titles. The 1,700 would be a daily peak of 1,700. So they could bring in 1,700 on any given day, but they would still have to stay within the weekly maximum tons buried, which wouldn't allow them to bring in 1,700 tons 7 days a week. If you recall at the last meeting, the applicant had requested an increased daily peak. And if the applicant would like to request that tonight, I'll defer to them. What I will say is that if the daily peak, for example, of alternative 1A at 1,700 tons was allowed to be higher than 1,700 tons on a given day, that would still be within the parameters of what was analyzed in the AR, because the AR analyzed 2,300 tons as the daily maximum that would happen. And even if it was set higher, they would not be able to bring in 2,300 tons because they're going to hit that weekly maximum of 10,983 tons, for example, with that number fairly quickly. We've received some questions about beneficial reuse and recyclables. Beneficial reuse and recyclables do not count towards the weekly or daily peak maximums so long as they are not buried. If they are buried, they count towards that maximum. The EAR estimates approximately 25% additional tons per day in recyclables, materials for beneficial reuse, and direct transfer materials that are not buried. Again, as I said, if it is buried, then it would count towards that maximum. Beneficial reuse and recyclables are limited based on the maximum vehicles per day. That also includes in-county recology trucks and residents, and then the daily and weekly maximums for commercial waste haul trucks. So while the daily tonnage limit does not limit the beneficial reuse, the maximum trucks allowed and the vehicles allowed does set a limit on the beneficial reuse that can actually be brought in, because they cannot have more trucks than they are allowed to have. Also, the fair share road impact fee that we've talked a lot about, that calculates impacts to the county roads from the heavy-duty trucks, applies to all tonnage. So that includes buried waste, beneficial reuse, and recyclables, because the impacts to the county roads are the same regardless of whether the material is buried or not. So the fair share fee would apply to all tonnage, not just the buried tonnage. And this is an excerpt of just condition of approval 1B, just to demonstrate how these numbers would be inserted into the conditional use permit. It would be the John Smith Road landfill is limited to accepting a maximum of the tonnage that your commission would determine per week. And in no event shall such tonnage on any particular day exceed, you would select the tonnage there, that would be the daily peak. And the second sentence clarifies what I said as well, that the beneficial reuse does not count as long as it is not buried here. And this is the excerpt from the EIR when I talked about how they weren't accepting the full daily tonnage allowed. It was 92.3%, and so that is how those weekly maximums were calculated, by reducing each amount to the 92.3%. Then you would also be asked to determine the expansion footprint, and the proposed elevation is the same for all alternatives. And you can see here it demonstrates the difference between the alternatives 1A and 2A, and 1B and 2B. So under 1A and 2A, it would be the same amount of landfill area impacted, 195 acres of lined expansion area. With 1B, which is a reduced tonnage alternative, and 2B, it would be a reduced amount because it would be allowed to operate for this about the same amount of time that the 2300 proposed project would be, but it would end about the same time. And so you're going to fill up less acres over that amount of time. And this demonstrates that condition of approval 1A is where that you would then establish the maximum amount of acres that would be allowed. And then this also has the maximum elevation of the project, which is 949 feet above mean sea level. And another factor that you would determine is the maximum vehicles and the maximum haul trucks. So for all the alternatives, the maximum daily vehicles is the same 600, which is what the existing maximum is. And that also includes county residents and in-county recology trucks, as well as out-of-county trucks. The maximum weekly out-of-county transfer trucks is then established here for each alternative. And I do understand there was some confusion when we presented at the last meeting of the truck count. And the reason why that seemed higher was because we had included in-county recology trucks as well as out-of-county transfer trucks. So to make that clear and to respond to some of the concerns that we did here, the maximum weekly amount now, we are just proposing to limit it to out-of-county transfer trucks, and it would be a weekly maximum. And then on the right-hand column, it's just demonstrating what those numbers are on a daily basis if you divided the maximum by 7. So for example, on the proposed 2,300 tons, it would be 665 maximum trucks per week. And if you divided that by 7, that would be 95 trucks per day, which is what was analyzed in the EIR. And then if you follow that through for each of those reduced tonnages, it would tell you the maximum weekly trucks, and then it demonstrates here what that average would be if you divide that number by 7. And again, this is just the excerpt from the conditions of approval, showing that the first sentence is setting the 600 per day, and then the maximum number of commercial haul trucks from outside the county is limited to, you would select that number, per week. And then I did want to just provide an overview as well of the potential commercial vehicle haul routes, unless Steve is in the room and he would like to take over for this slide.
Steve is approaching the podium.
Okay, Bree, I'm here. Thanks so much. And let me just turn around here a little bit. Steve Blute, Public Works Administrator. So we'll walk you through the 4 routes being proposed. The proposed inbound route would place the trucks on Highway 25, and then they'll go up McCloskey Road, take a right on Fairview, a left on John Smith, and into the landfill, and return out on the blue route, the outbound route, but they'll be empty at that point. Alternative 6 is south of Fairview. They will stay on Highway 25, head towards kind of the Ridgemark area, make a left on Fairview Road, go to John Smith Road, take a right on John Smith, head to the landfill, and return empty out on the blue route. Now, one thing to mention with that alternative 6, the South Fairview route, is that if that is selected, one of the mitigation measures is to reroute John Smith Road, realign it so that it aligns with the church on Fairview Road. So we'd have a 4-way intersection with a signal, because the current intersection of John Smith and Fairview, it makes it really difficult for trucks to, for the inbound route to make that right-hand turn, just the angle of the road. So we'd actually be rerouting John Smith Road, make it a 4-way intersection and signalized intersection, and that's actually part of the mitigation for that route. And then Alt 7, which is the Best Road route, the trucks would stay on Highway 25. They would take that all the way to Best Road, make a left on Best Road, make a right-hand turn on John Smith, and then they would actually return on Best Road and then return on Highway 25 out of town. And so I shall pause there, I guess, for the next slide. And this is just the zoomed-in version. Thank you for that. This is actually a little bit easier to read for folks. So, and do we want to go to the next slide, please? All right. I'll pause there for Ms. Bree to take over. Thanks, Bree.
Thank you, Steve. And again, here, this is just taking the language out of the conditional use permit, showing how the haul route would be selected and limited what could be used, and then the enforcement, which we talked about earlier, is also in the same condition. With the general plan amendment, again, like I said earlier, the conditional use permit cannot take effect until the general plan amendment is approved, and that is expressed in condition of approval 13. The options that you have on your recommendation to the board, you can recommend the board approve the general plan amendment, you can recommend the board deny the general plan amendment, or I believe what's been requested from members of the public is that you can recommend the board place a general plan amendment on the ballot for a vote of the citizens. And on any of these recommendations, you can add to that, for example, if you wanted to recommend approval of the general plan amendment, and the planning commission could give, kind of explain the reasons for its recommendation as to that, or if you recommended denial, you could include some explanation to your recommendation. And to explain how a vote, we've heard from members of the public that this project should go to a vote of the public, and what does that look like and how does that happen? The Board of Supervisors may place a legislative decision on the ballot to allow the electorate to vote on that legislative decision. A conditional use permit is not a legislative action, so the conditional use permit itself cannot be placed on the ballot. But the general plan amendment to change the land use designation is a legislative action that the Board of Supervisors could place on the ballot. To do so, to place it on the ballot, the Board of Supervisors is required to certify the AR and adopt a resolution placing the general plan amendment on the ballot. If the Board of Supervisors places a general plan amendment on the ballot and it does not pass, then the conditional use permit could not take effect. So for your commission today, if your decision was to recommend that the board place it on the ballot, your commission would need to approve the conditional use permit. You would need to make the decisions that we discussed earlier, such as the daily tonnage, the haul route, and have a conditional use permit that is approved, and then your recommendation would be to the board to place a general plan amendment on the ballot. If the electorate passed the general plan amendment, then the conditional use permit would take effect. If the vote of the people was to not pass the general plan amendment, then the conditional use permit would not be able to take effect. And I have just a slide, if the commission would like, just a overview of the economic analysis and the road impact costs. But I think that's more if the commission has any questions. I can go through those if you'd like, or I can wait and have them ready if there's questions.
If you could have those ready during our discussions of what action we're going to take, I would appreciate it.
I will do that. And one thing I would like to add, shortly, late this afternoon, I believe we received a letter from the city of Hollister requesting revisions to the conditional use permit. I just want to make sure that the commission has received that letter. If not, then I can pull it up on the screen as well so that the commission can see what the city of Hollister requested.
Okay, everybody received that at some point prior to right now, correct? Okay. Please proceed.
That is all I have for the commission. If there's any questions I can answer, I understand. I believe Waste Connections has a representative that will provide a brief presentation as well.
Okay, before we go to public comment, we will hear from the applicant's representative. Is there a representative from Waste Solutions?
I believe Paul Nelson is up there.
Yes, Paul, you've been unmuted. You can speak.
Yeah. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Quite honestly, we're a little bit surprised that we're continuing with potential decision tonight. We respectfully ask for a continuance that basically would allow us to analyze input from key stakeholders, both from or from Hollister, San Juan Bautista, as well as the county, and we're hopeful to come back and make a presentation on scenarios that fit kind of the feedback that we believed we were hearing Friday afternoon. So, I mean, I understand you guys voted to go ahead and proceed with the decision. We still prefer that a continuance would take place and respectfully continue to ask for that.
Thank you. Public comment?
Okay, so
There are no questions. No.
okay, so I'm going to go back through my list of speaker cards here. Alicia Acker, please approach the podium. You will have 2 minutes.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. Okay, should I go?
Yes.
Okay, so according to FMCSA, who compiles data from several sources such as DOT, the latest data says the number of large trucks involved in fatal crashes has increased over 18%. These fatal crashes involving large trucks typically occur during weekdays on rural roads, interstates, and highways, which is exactly when and where all these trucks will be driving. According to the Bureau of Labor, there are 2 million active commercial truck drivers, and in a given year, over 450,000 of them will be involved in a crash. Truck drivers have a disproportionately higher crash rate per driver when compared to other license holders. 1 in 5 truck drivers will be involved in a crash causing injury or death. This expansion will be putting almost 100 trucks on our roads per day. My oldest son is 16 years old and he's in the process of getting his license, and I don't feel comfortable with the added risk to my family, my children, our community, our friends, and just to put more money in Waste Connections' pockets. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina Chavez Wyatt, please approach the podium. One last time, Christina Chavez Wyatt, are you still in the building? Okay, moving on. Bella Rosales. Bella Rosales. Okay, moving on. She's here? Oh, sorry, I didn't see you.
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. So, as I said before, I think this should be a vote of the people, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julio Rodriguez.
Well, first off, from our colleagues, thank you for this continuance. I appreciate that. Same thing, I'll keep it short and sweet. I think a vote of the people would be ideal, seeing this is an unpopular decision tonight. So I think that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Annette Perez, please approach the podium.
Hello. Twice in one night. What a lucky girl. How you doing, everybody? So, you know, I am just really want to encourage you all not to certify the EIR, that the environmental impacts are significant and avoidable, and the benefits do not outweigh the detriment to our county. I also ask that you do not approve the expansion nor rezoning of any of that 388 acres. I'm telling you, all these people tonight were here because we have an EIR. We know that they want to rezone that land. If you rezone that land and you only say, oh, we're only going to 300 tons, that's all you were going to give you, well, the next board that comes up, Waste Solutions will say they can't make it on 300 tons a day. It's not beneficial for them, so they will come ask the next supervisors that they want to increase their tonnage, and they will slowly increase it, to the next thing you know it, we're at 2,300 tons. Our county only brings in 230 tons. Why are we even thinking about taking all that out-of-county trash into our lands? 5 other counties, they all have landfills. They are passing landfills to come to our roads to dump that trash cheaply and leave it in our lands forever. I know you're aware of the internal fires and the dangers that landfills come. They are short-term revenues and long-term liability. Please don't look for a landfill for revenue. Let's get businesses, let's get corporations, let's get this county moving. Let's not look for a landfill and let Waste Solutions Group put that money in their pocket. They're doing this all over United States. I've been contacted by other groups that are fighting Waste Solutions Group, doing the same thing in their town, leaving them stuck with mountains of trash. I would hope you guys are stewards of the land. Do what's right. Protect our county. Say no to this bad deal for Hollister. Thank you.
Thank you. Please hold your applause.
Rudy Pichet, please approach the podium. If you've already presented me with a speaker card, you do not have to present me with another one.
Somebody left a cell phone up here.
Auction.
Okay, I think I'm being misunderstood. 1 minute was just not enough time. I think all of us are here because we are for the quality of life for the people that live in this area, right? We're gonna have to live here after these decisions are made. You know, the landfill, they wanna expand it. My parents live on Fairview Road, and I know hundreds of people that live in the Fairview Road corridor, and they felt the difference between 250 tons a day to 500, and I think we went up to about 800 tons a day at one point in time. My friends and family, they lived there and they felt those changes. They felt the trucks pounding along the roadways, and they feel that change. Now, the people who are not part of this Don't Dump on San Benito movement, the people who are not here, not tuning in, they're gonna notice, they're gonna wake up, they're gonna feel these changes, whether they're here or they even know it at all. If we're gonna go to, 800 to 1,000 to 2,300 tons, even if it's within 15 years, we're gonna need more than 2 proposed haul routes. We're gonna need like 3 or 4. We're gonna need to bring trucks in the dead of night. And people are still gonna hear, they're still gonna feel their windows rattling, especially during the summer months when the windows are open. So if they're not here, they're gonna wake up, they're gonna feel these changes. My whole thought is, let's make good decisions. Let's work together with the city council, with the supervisors that you represent. Let's make good decisions. Let's slow it down. We've had 15 years at current dump levels, 250 to 300 tons a day. That's our current level right now. We have time, about 15 years, 12 to 15 years to make a good decision. Let's take the time to get this right. I think people would appreciate a vote on this, because those people who wake up, who are not part of this movement, they're gonna wake up eventually. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Joseph Howard.
Hello, guys. I just wanted to really kind of like try to encapsulate the decision here being made into a very simple, well, I guess I'd say slogan, but really this is more of a question of an ideological struggle. Really, that's kind of shows itself. It's a small part of that, which is the question between ballots and dollars. As we know, sometimes dollars win, sometimes ballots win, but generally speaking, the idea is that there's a struggle, and this is the first democracy since ancient Athens in the world. When ancient Athens went away, there was no more democracy for like, what, 1,000, 2,000 years, and then the United States come along, and we have democracy again. Great. Now a bunch of countries have democracy. But the point is that we're the first in the world since ancient Athens to have democracy, and it would be a joke, and it would be a joke to let the dollars win over our ballots again. Commissioners, the decision is obvious. I expect you all to vote vote the right way on this. It is obvious. The American way is to put this to a vote. There is no other solution. Thank you.
Lisa Erzna.
Well, nobody wants the haul route next to where they live, and I definitely don't want them next to where I live because I walk down the best road every morning, the 2 miles. And with the trucks, I can tell you when the big trucks come, it gets kind of dicey out there. And if you're riding a bike, it's even scarier. And there's all kinds of trash on the side of the road that just kind of flown off. My question would be to the applicant is how are they going to enforce these truck driver controls? Who's going to pay for the police officers to stop them? Who's going to make sure that they are paying when they have an infraction? Are we just going to be left to clean it up? We just deal with it? So I'm sorry, but I'm against the expansion.
Thank you.
Brenda Smithy, are you still with us? One more time for Brenda Smithy. Okay, Neil Anderson.
Hello, Neil Anderson, resident San Benito County. Thank you for having us here this evening. So, we got this thing here that's got a lot of people concerned. We want to do what's right for the county, and apparently that's not expanding the dump and taking out a county garbage. I was looking at the cost and the benefits and what it's going to cost the county in the terms of like quality of life, air pollution, methane gas. My goodness, fires. Could you imagine that thing going up in fire? If that were 350 acres of burning rubbish and we got houses right next to it, it'd be catastrophic. And then I look at, well, what are the benefits to having this dump? There's only one thing I can see that comes out of this. It's money. That's it. I see no other benefit to the county of San Benito other than there's money. But even when you look at the money, that can be counterbalanced by encouraging other forms of income and revenue. And there's a lot of other things that can be done with that land. I thought about that. I said, what would I do with 350 acres of land rather than dump garbage on it? Because I certainly wouldn't take my household garbage from my kitchen and bury it in my backyard. This is our heritage, man. Those mountains, that property, that's what San Benito County was built on, and now we want to dump other people's garbage on our heritage. I find the whole situation really just, an affront to just common sense, which says, no, I don't take other people's garbage and bury it in my backyard and wait for it to catch on fire or have an earthquake and have the whole thing slide down the hill. Look up Seneca Falls, New York sometime and see what a 350-acre landfill looks like. It's a monster. You're going to be able to pull up every day when you come home on Highway 101 and 25 and see a pyramid of garbage from 15 miles away.
Thank you.
Tom Armbruster, please approach the podium. Tom, are you still with us? Okay, Bill Hunter, please approach the podium.
Well, I have to say that if we
consider bringing all this other garbage in, that's just gonna swamp us. There's no way we could ever really deal with it in a responsible manner. However, it seems to me if we just took care of our own garbage, we've got, say, 15 years, we might be able to set an example and really do it right. There's disadvantages to being a smaller, you know, a less populated county, but there's advantages too. I think we could do better.
Thank you.
Carly Robles.
Right now, as we speak, Waste Connections in Chiquita Canyon in LA is on fire. 35 acres of the landfill have been described by South Coast Air Quality Management District as almost volcanic, and in recent months, a white vapor has been observed hissing through the cracks in the face of the reaction zone. The landfill had no plans to dispose of the foul water on Sundays and on holidays. The hazardous spills have formed bubbling ponds and ultimately rivers of odorous waste, according to South Coast Air Quality Management District. Is this what we are willing to risk for our home? Waste Connections failed to immediately report these incidents. This started mid-2022. They did not inform the Air District that wastewater was spilling onto the surface until October. This is the company you would be inviting to handle our hazardous materials. Waste Connections gave Neighbors to Preserve San Benito $30,000 in 2022 against Measure Q. Neighbors to Preserve San Benito is a front set up by Newport Pacific Land Company. Newport Pacific Land Company is owned by Chenco, which is foreign from China. Newport Pacific Land Company was the largest contributor to No on Measure Q, with putting forth several hundreds of thousands of dollars. Measure Q would have let the
I'm sorry, what
people
does this
of
have to
San
do with the
Benito County
landfill?
vote this next sentence talks about it.
Okay.
Measure Q would have let the people of the San Benito County vote on the landfill. So by Waste Connections donating $30,000 to basically get the power out of the voters' hands, it shows us they are afraid of what the residents will vote for. And you don't donate $30,000 unless you know we would or will vote no to expand the landfill. I hope you will recommend that the Board of Supervisors put this to a vote of the people who live here.
Thank you.
Okay, and next we will have Maureen Nelson, and after that it will be Richard Rosenthal. Maureen?
Your time has expired.
You'll try anything. Hi again. Thank you. Appreciate the 3 minutes. So, I love crunching numbers. I'm sorry, it's just in my genes. I really appreciate having Bree talking to us again. What she pointed out was at 2,300 tons, she says 95 out-of-county trucks per day, 7 days a week. But in our previous meetings, 3 that we had in October, she stated at that time that the out-of-county trucks come Monday through Friday. They don't come Saturday and Sunday. So that 95 trucks turns into 133 out-of-county trucks every weekday through San Benito County. That means that every 3.5 minutes, a truck is coming in, but every truck that comes in has to have a truck go out. So now that means a truck is passing you almost every 1.5 minutes, a 20-ton truck passing us every 1.5 minutes during an 8-hour day, Monday through Friday. That's my first number crunching. So let's talk about air pollution, water pollution, methane gas. None of these are good. None of these are good for us as citizens. None of these are good for us as a reputation. There are counties everywhere, cities, states, countries trying to fight this. Why do we want to encourage more issues here in an underserved, underprivileged county? Let the wealthy counties take their own trash. They have their own landfills. It's not as if they don't have the resources there to deposit in their own county. We don't need to be their waste receptacle. I'd also like to say that a vote of the citizens would put it in their hands. You don't need to be the good guy, the bad guy, or the one that's glared at. I won't glare, but I'll talk about it in the background.
Thank you.
Richard Rosenthal. Richard Rosenthal. Okay. And after Richard, we will have Manny Amaral.
I'd like to thank our commission. I retract what I said. It's nice seeing you in action. I'd like to, for a moment, ask you to ask Waste Management a couple questions on our behalf. One, what is the concentration of the hydrogen sulfide gas that our current dump is emitting? Two, what is the concentration of the methane gas? Three, what are the diffusitivities that they're using to monitor the subsurface penetration of arsenic, lead, mercury, nitrates, biodegradable organics? Also, I would like you to ask them why they have not done, if they have the time to expand the dump 5 times, why they've not done an electrical resistivity survey of the existing dump to give ourselves in Hollister a comfort level that they're maintaining the dump properly. I don't see anything in all of the reports that I've read where they've published any data on toxicity levels, the membranes that they're using to prevent further penetration into the groundwater. I haven't seen where they've done any technical analyses of our groundwater. I would think that if they have time to expand things, they would have more than have their hands full just ensuring our safety. And I would like you to ask them to please do that. Forget about 5 times capacity. Just give us measurements and quantitative data and educate us. By my calculations, I would like you to verify this with them. What the diffusion that I've calculated every
Thank you, sir.
year, it's going
Thank you.
4.43.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up.
Thank you. And
Thank
thanks
you.
for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Manny Amaral. And then after that, we're going to have Carl Scow.
Thank you very much once again for letting us speak. I think that this message is pretty clear how the folks here feel, how our citizenry feel. And I'm just in the hopes and pray that conventional wisdom and common sense will prevail in this whole proposal. Now, it just leaves me scratching my head how the leaders of our community would even consider something with the capability and potential of changing the course of history in our county and our beautiful city of Hollister. And I'm not even going to go into all the things that these things could possibly cause, because it's already been said. You've got your ears full on those already.
Please speak in the microphone, sir, if you could direct us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm actually talking not so much for myself, because I've gone full circle. I've lived my life, but I'm speaking to the voiceless, the children yet to come, our children and our grandchildren. Now, I care about them as well as you do, but what the noise pollution, the situations to our health, to our air quality, and all of the other things we've talked about do make a difference. And the thing is that if we want some good business to prevail in our county and bring us up to another level, what are we going to tell them? Please, come to San Benito County and Hollister. You know that little city with a mega dump? And then we say, yeah, and also, how about the gateway, the beautiful gateway to the Pinnacles, one of our national treasures? But just never mind the noise pollution from 100 trucks or 150 trucks. Never mind the smell that you'll smell, the pollution, the noise, the traffic congestion.
Thank you, sir.
Carl Scow.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And after that, we'll have John Robles.
Well, good evening. This is fun. In a perfect world, this would be a great project. I've heard the complaints, the comments numerous times that we need the money. Yes, the county can definitely use the cash, but not at the price of our quality of life, our water, our air, our life quality. Proponents constantly make this valid point about money, but ignore the possible ramifications. I understand one supervisor would even like to give dump tours. I believe she would like to take the tours, I believe that she should take the tours through the LA County landfills. Read the LA Times 12/12/23 article. Uncontrolled chemical reactions fuel crisis. LA County's two largest dumps. One by our proponent is managed by our proponent, one by another firm. Think of the Sunshine Canyon landfill operated by Browning Ferris, which has suffered water intrusion, fueled bacterial growth, given rise to putrid odors that have nauseated students and staff at local schools. Think of our Santana School and our Gablin College. Or read the other article on January 30th in the LA Times about the toxic water releases, a fire burning deep inside the LA County landfill raises new alarms over toxic air. So these internal spontaneous combustion fires burning underneath these two dumps are now releasing water pushing out of the ground by millions of 2 to 4 million gallons a month. Where are we going with 2 to 4 million gallons and the air? In a perfect world, none of this happens. But let's look at what can happen to us. Why haven't we talked these types of potential problems?
Thank you.
I request that we stay AG.
Okay, John Robles, and then after that, we're going to have Fallon Gregg.
Okay, good evening once again. Carly stole my thunder earlier, but I did want to touch on a huge problem that Waste Connection is having right now in Southern California. The dump underneath the surface is on fire. As Carly mentioned, it's been described as volcanic in nature, but I wanted to touch on other things as well. Environmental regulators are saying that the air samples are showing elevated levels of benzene, which is not a great chemical if you want to avoid cancer. Waste Connection has been reprimanded for failing to report leaks. Air pollution information is not being released to the public, which is not very nice of them. And I'm going to give you a fun fact. Waste Connections has been the focus of 100 violations with respect to that landfill and 6,000 resident complaints. Okay, I'm going to switch gears here. Last night I sent an email to all of you and the county supervisors as well. That was me. Attached to that was an article out of Seneca Falls, New York by a local publication. It would appear that Waste Connections is at the center of controversy, a huge amount of controversy. The article is the stuff that case studies for political science and business scholars are made of because of the adverse impact to the community and hundreds of thousands of dollars of dirty money being funneled to politicians. So my point here is that government officials really need to take this seriously and understand the players you're dealing with. I mean, this whole thing to impose a continuance is really dirty. And so please put it to the vote for the people.
Thank you.
Fallon Gregg, and after that, we'll have Barry Katz.
you for the opportunity to speak to you again tonight. My name's Fallon Gregg. Again, I'm a longtime resident of San Benito County. Expanding the John Smith landfill has been discussed for many months, and now it's time to make a decision on this proposal. When making a careful, thoughtful decision, all facts and perspectives need to be considered. People who would be adversely affected by the decision need to be listened to, as they offer contributing factors toward making the best outcome possible for the most involved. There's been a faithful group of concerned residents who have attended city council meetings and voiced their opposition to the landfill expansion for many months. But a decision this large and with this massive dire consequences for all residents and for the county as a whole, there needs to be input from all who live in the county, not just from those who can attend a meeting at night, often before many residents are even home from work. To get the input from most residents, the best thing to do is to put the John Smith landfill expansion on the ballot and let the San Benito County residents express their voices. With a vote, there can be no dispute as to what residents want for their county, for their quality of life, for their health and safety of themselves and their families. The only reason I can see for not putting the John Smith landfill expansion proposal on the ballot is being afraid of the outcome. At the last city council meeting, Councilmen Burns and Resendez both agreed there is no benefit for San Benito County from expanding the landfill. Don't dump on San Benito and let the citizens vote.
Thank you.
Okay, Barry Katz.
Good evening again. I read on the agenda for tonight's meeting, there's all these exhibits, and then there were, what do they refer to? Findings. It says that I hope these findings will come out later in the meeting. I thought they would come out by now, but it says that you have to find certain findings to be true in order to approve the conditional use permit. And I don't think in good consciousness, you can find two of those findings to be true at all. The main one that I have a problem with is finding number 2, which states the proposed use will not be adverse to public health, safety, or general welfare of the community, nor detrimental to surrounding properties or improvements. This finding is simply not true. There are substantial negative impacts to health, safety, and welfare in the forms of increased traffic, noise, air pollution, the aesthetics of a mountain of trash visible from all directions, reduction in the value of nearby homes, and the liability on the county that they're facing, say, with a class action lawsuit in Los Angeles County for Chiquita Canyon run by Waste Connections, and also the degradation to the roads. So there's all kinds of adverse impacts. There's no way you can say there are not. The other one is that finding number 4 says the site is physically suitable for the type, density, and intensity of use, and suitability criteria include, among other things, access. We don't have access to this dump. The earlier ones that were proposed on Fairview, and I don't remember the McCluskeys and all, you can't run these big trucks down roads that were not designed for it, aren't wide enough for it, aren't strong enough for it, are just not safe to have those on. So then they came up with the best road to mostly going through Highway 25, and the letter from the city that you all should have received
Thank you.
was highly against going through the
Thank
city
you.
on
Your time
Highway
is-
25 with hundreds of trucks.
Mr. Katz.
Thank you.
Teresa Betancourt, and she's going to be followed by Jan Grist.
Thank you for allowing us to speak tonight. There are many decisions made in our county with the belief that they will provide more revenue for San Benito County, but at what cost to the quality of life of its citizens or the infrastructure and the grace of San Benito County? I am fully aware as a financial controller how numbers in any given presentation can be skewed by selection or by omission to obtain the results favored. I personally do not trust that this proposal has our best interest or health in mind. Our ever-increasing population and industry create increases in waste. We need to preserve any waste expansion for the needs of the ever-growing community, not allowing other counties to dump on us to increase profits for large corporations outside our community. Their profits equate to infrastructure costs and potential health and environmental risks to San Benito County. Living at Ridgemark, supposedly outside the potentially affected area, I am greatly concerned about the potential traffic congestion at both of our intersections and the increased noise level as the trucks gear down in approaching those intersections and Best Road. I am greatly concerned about the potential contamination of groundwater and air quality from the increased truck fumes, landfill waste gases, and fire potential from those gases. The EIR suggests a number of mitigation measures attempting to prevent these issues. Nothing is fail-safe, and phrases like best efforts and may be adjusted are not comforting. There is no amount of money that would compel me to take the risk that comes with the additional waste from communities that cannot or are not willing to manage their own waste. If not rejected here, I do believe that the proposal should come before the citizens of San Benito County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jan Grist, followed by Elia Munoz Cowan.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You know how they say that a leopard doesn't change its spots? And I think they showed their true colors tonight with their letter asking for the delay and not telling us why. And they've given us everything. I don't have any faith in their judgment, and I've lost credibility in what they say they're going to do. And living at Santana Ranch, the school, my grandson goes to the school, the noise, and the potential of destroying our beautiful county. We've got to do better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elia Munoz Cowan.
Hi, I'm Elia Munoz Cowan, lived in Hollister for about 35 years. Okay, basically, I'm opposed to the dump expansion. We do not need a mega dump in our community. Everybody's discussed environmental issues, damage to our water quality, air, noise, soil, damage to our roads, adding more traffic to already congested roads, and just groundwater. We rely on groundwater, and that could be really, really detrimental to us to have the problems they have. And people have referred to that Chiquita Canyon landfill in Southern California, owned by Waste Connections, leaking benzene into the local air and water samples, producing toxic fumes, and they were reprimanded by environmental regulators for failing to report the leaks when they first occurred and not providing residents with air quality data, which is a huge transgression in my mind, and it's a huge danger. And if they did that there, what's to say that couldn't happen to us? Okay? I really feel we need to let voters decide that, where am I? Because the landfill will impact us for many, many, many years to come. It'll impact us, our children, our grandchildren, generations. So no to landfill expansion. It doesn't benefit our community. It benefits Waste Connections, the third largest solid waste company in the United States. Their concern is their profit margin, not our safety and quality of life. So please, I urge you, we should not be a mega dump for out-of-county trash, and it's an environmental and social injustice to our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pete Munoz Cowan, followed up by Bridget Bowman Thorpe.
Hello again. I've also been a resident for about 35 years in Hollister. Moved here when it had one stoplight, and the growing pains are pretty obvious. And but this is beyond anything else that's happened. Bigger threat probably than climate change and some of these other things. So I'm definitely against this mega dump. I think it should go to a vote of the citizens. I think we'll really find out what people want doing that. And I think that Hollister and its people don't deserve a threat like this to their well-being and to their to their children, et cetera. So do the right thing, please.
Thank you.
Bridget Bowman Thorpe, followed up by Barbara Tadeo.
Hi, good evening. I just have to say this Waste Connection expansion should have been shut down years ago. But what did our supervisors do? They allowed the purchase of the Lima property in 2019, even before they do the CEQA process. It's ridiculous. It just tells you who's running this county, in my opinion. And then I Googled what are the goals for air quality in California. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions to 40% below 1990 levels by 2030, consistent with SB 32. So the state is reducing greenhouse gas emissions. San Benito County is increasing the greenhouse gas emissions by, if they would approve a landfill expansion. And I demand that we get the greenhouse gas emissions report from the EPA. I have the one from 2015. CO2 equivalent emissions are 19,000 metric tons, 19,401 metric tons of CO2 being released by the landfill gas. I don't know why nobody talks about the landfill gas. Go up there, go to the landfill, you see the landfill gas. It emits 24/7 while we're sleeping. And guess what? Many days we don't have wind. And then it just is in the air basin. I mean, you are considering to pollute your air. It's irreversible. Once this expansion would be approved, you have pollution forever. Even with the RNG, it says it will be significant and unavoidable. And this thing with the trucks to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, it's a joke. When we haven't
you.
looked at the landfill gas.
Barbara Tadeo, followed up by Andy Shaw Karan.
And just a reminder, please submit your comment cards where the stack is running short. When we go to Zoom, we will not be coming back to the chambers, so please submit your comment cards now.
All right, I've told you before, I've had animals die of cancer. We've had people in our area, 3 people have died of brain tumors, all in a row that followed John Smith. Even at night, I work a lot at night with my animals, and you hear the trucks going down Best Road and downshifting on their way to the dump. That's crazy. This needs to go before the voters. And like Flint, Michigan, they chipped in and bought water filtration systems for their people who are affected, but I don't have it, and my water many times is turning gray within 24 hours. I just got another notice that I have a high manganese and arsenic count in my water. Why isn't the dump paying for my water filtration system? This needs to go before the voters. And to think that they're sneaking these trucks in at night and I can hear them, that's crazy. Please have it go before the voters.
Thank you.
Andy Shaw Karan, followed by Mary Shaw Karan.
Evening. It is so obvious that the people of San Benito County don't want this affront to their dignity, to their reputation, a risk to their health, a risk to their economy, because our economy is based on agriculture and then second tourism. I mean, you could advertise San Benito County, home of Mount Basura, Garbage Mountain, and encourage the eruptions to happen. I'm sure some people would come and watch that. But all in all, you can tell the folks don't want it. The benefits are not there. And probably the smartest thing to be done to show that you're actually, I mean, I've been an elected official before, and one of the best things you can do, you showed before that you could respond when people said, don't put it off, don't do a continuance. Well, you should show again that you can hear what people say regardless of where in their background. You haven't heard anybody come forward and say, yeah, we really want an expanded garbage dump in San Benito County because we want other people's garbage because we want to do them a great favor. There's nobody out there arguing for that. Maybe the company itself, but they've proven themselves a pretty bad neighbor. I mean, just the way they handled this hearing and the lack of respect and even being prepared to make an argument for why they should have a continuance. That's what you can expect from them in the future as a neighbor. And when the problems come, and they will come, you can expect that they will pass those problems on to other people. Why don't you do yourselves a favor and don't make it a big political problem? Just say, no, we're not going to do the expansion. You'll look like heroes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, we're gonna have Mary Shaw Quran, followed up by Victoria Montoya.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I was originally supporting letting voters have a say. I think they still should, but I was concerned when your attorney, I think it's your attorney, Bree, said that you actually have to approve the EIR, and I believe also grant the permit. I don't think you should do either of those. I think the EIR is inadequate. I think it does not adequately address what some people have already mentioned, a lot of the long-term impacts. I mean, we're talking about, I was reading about the EPA's, you know, if you just look on Wikipedia, the liners, you know, the Waste Connection has said the liners will protect us. They have this membrane underlying all the garbage. Well, if you look up on Wikipedia, landfill liners, just Google on it, says the United States Environmental Protection Agency has stated that the barriers liners will ultimately fail while sites remain threats for thousands of years, suggesting that modern landfill designs delay but do not prevent ground and surface water pollution. So to me, that's really the crux of it. Of course, there's also a lot of great comments by others about the damage to our roads, which I really think the revenue that we get is not sufficient to cover that. But if you look at the long-term impact, how much does it cost for communities like Flint to address their contamination in water? How much will it cost us if our groundwater is contaminated? And I don't think that our EIR addresses the fact that 2 of Sunny Slope's wells, groundwater wells for drinking water, is 2 miles from the John Smith landfill. So for those reasons, and many others that people have already cited here, I think you should reject this proposal. Thank you.
Victoria Montoya, please approach the podium. And Jackie Morris Lopez will be after. Victoria Montoya, are you still with us? Okay, Jackie Morris Lopez, please approach the podium. And after that, we will have George Fendler.
Good evening once again. Jackie Morris Lopez, San Juan Bautista, current seated city council member of the city. I just want to see, I wasn't prepared to speak. I've been in silence long enough. I probably live the furthest west from the landfill dump, but that doesn't matter, along with Commissioner Way. This is my county. These are my people out here in the audience. I wholeheartedly support them because as a healthcare provider, I should throw that in there, there are so many unmitigated hazards that were listed in the EIR. And if you throw in the, global warming, which we have no guarantee, that you've got a pile of trash, a mega pile of trash that's reacting chemically, what's that releasing into the environment? I may not have another 20 years on this earth, but I have future generations of people's grandchildren, my grandchildren, neighbors, whatnot. You know, you're appointed officials. I'm an elected official. We owe this to our residents. We owe it to the future of the people here. We have a lot more to offer than just being a mega dump. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, George Fendler.
Please hold your applause.
And after that, we'll have Elvia Scow.
Good evening. I wasn't really planning on talking tonight. I was coming here to listen to see just what somebody would present that would justify this project, and I can't see it. One thing that pops into my head is that people create waste, and communities have to deal with the waste that the people in their community create. Santa Clara County has decided that they can't deal with their own waste, so they're shipping it down to Hollister. And that just doesn't make any sense. Eventually, we will reach some capacity that we won't be able to accept any more waste. Is then Santa Clara going to be able to accept our waste? Now, maybe an agreement, if we're going to be getting waste from outside the county, we should have an agreement with the counties that we're receiving the waste from, that they will take our waste when we can no longer accommodate it, and they should reciprocate. What's really important for everybody to consider is that waste, people can reduce the amount of waste that they create, and that's the emphasis that should be in place. I think that you should reject this plan, and
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Elvia Scow, followed up by Jessica Holander.
Are there other comment cards after that? Couple? Okay. If you have comment cards, please bring them up now.
Good afternoon. Elvia Scow, San Benito County resident. We voice our concern because we feel our pristine community is being threatened. There was a lawsuit in 2021, California versus Alta Beauty. Alta disposed flammable, reactive, toxic, corrosive materials into trash containers and dumpsters rather than transporting them to a legal hazard waste facility. San Benito County qualified to be part of this lawsuit, but chose not to. The decision not to be part of the lawsuit doesn't eliminate the fact that 4 out of 5 counties dumping on us were plaintiffs of the lawsuit, which means we possibly received contaminated trash. In 2022, Alameda Trucking Company was sued for over $1.36 million. They too were dumping hazardous waste, ignitable liquids, batteries into trash receptacles. These are counties that are dumping their trash here. We are now told that we should expand our mega landfill for these irresponsible counties. This should be of concern to everyone. The county's ignorance doesn't mean toxic materials weren't or won't be dumped here. Are we supposed to trust the 3rd largest landfill operator in the United States to be transparent about what slips through? All throughout these lawsuits, they mention health and safety, a silent term from our officials. It's all about money, but money will not replace our quality of life when it's gone. We already have 2 Superfund sites in our county, the landfill and New Hydra mines. Now we are told we will clean your 29-year-old Superfund site if you let us dump on you for the next 50 years. There is concern, and then there is due diligence. Let's do our due diligence and shut this down before it's too late. Put health and safety of residents at the forefront. Put this to the vote of the people, please.
Thank you.
Okay, Jessica Holander, followed up by Robert Cruz.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to make public comment. My name is Jessica Wolander. I'm a San Benito resident and the Environmental Associate for Green Foothills. We're an organization dedicated to the protection of open space, natural resources, and farmland for the benefit of all. Green Foothills has concerns. We believe that the significant unavoidable environmental impacts of the project substantially outweigh the social, economic, and other benefits, and recommend that the Planning Commission deny the landfill expansion. We have concerns that the revenue generated by the project would not be enough to cover the costs incurred. In addition to decreasing the quality of life for San Benito residents, increased traffic would also damage our roads. Although the landfill operator would be required to contribute a fair share road fee for this additional wear and tear on county roads, it is unclear whether this will be sufficient to cover the full cost of the additional repairs, maintenance, and construction required due to the increased road usage. Our fear is that the county will ultimately cover the vast majority of this cost. Further, the Second Amendment of the new landfill operating agreement from 2019 states that the county agrees that the payments made pursuant to sections 4, 7, and 9 of this amendment shall constitute a dollar-for-dollar credit against CEQA mitigation measures for expansion payable to the county. And in the special meeting of the Planning Commission on October 27th, county staff stated that certain payments can be applied to the fair share road fee. This seems to imply that if the cost of CEQA mitigation measures are greater than the fair share road fee, the county could be entirely responsible for the additional repairs and maintenance required due to additional wear and tear on our roads caused by hundreds more trucks and thousands more tons of weight on them per day. If this is the case, these repairs could easily cost significantly more than the estimated revenue the expanded landfill would bring into the county. Thank you.
Okay, Robert Cruz, and he's going to be followed up by Robert Harmson.
Greetings, commissioners and fellow citizens of San Benito County. I'm here to make a statement that bears on the commission's decision regarding the cost benefit of the expanded landfill. We need to look to the experiences of others around similar situations. For decades, China was the recipient of large quantities of garbage of several types from the United States. Several years ago, they shut all that down. Even China cannot be the dumping ground for our garbage. The people we are looking to do business with have a record of incompetence and fraud. If something goes wrong, we can be fairly certain they won't tell us about it. And excuse me, and that was even represented here by their disrespect for our procedures, coming here with vague statements and no details. The AIR says that there are significant and unavoidable consequences from this expansion. That alone should stop us dead in our tracks. There are things that would be done that cannot be undone. If you feel that you must pass this along to the county supervisors instead of dealing with it here, I urge you to pass along the smallest option at your that is available under the agreement. But I'm really going to ask you not to pass it along for a vote by the people. I'm going to urge you to be leaders and be brave and save us from this exploitation. Remember what happened the last time that Hollister City put money ahead of the citizens' welfare? We got the sewage debacle.
Okay, Robert Harmson, please approach the podium, and you will be followed up by Valerie Harmson.
Hi, Council. You guys have been very patient, and that's, I think, your job, listening to the people. I've been impressed. You're paying attention. My name is Robert Harmson. I'm a trial lawyer, retired from Silicon Valley. I practiced law for 45 years there. I was actually involved in environmental issues. The law firm that hired me out of law school was responsible for leading the cause of saving Coyote Valley. So as a very young lawyer, I watched the partners in the firm devote substantial pro bono hours to creating that natural resource that everyone now can enjoy. If they drive up 101, there's Coyote Valley, not all filled up with houses and cars and so forth. I also worked with an organization, CAP, which is an environmental group founded by Janet Gray Hayes, one of the previous mayor of San Jose. And when we took over, we only had one vote on the city council. We're dealing with environmental impacts from San Jose International Airport. So you have air pollution, noise pollution, damage to 2 endangered species on the property. Just a nightmare. We didn't have the mayor's attention. We didn't have the council's attention. So that requires an organization to get some money together. We did it. We got organized. We did background checks on every council member. We knew everything about them. And at the end of the day, we had 860 due-paying members. And that was necessary to fund the challenges we did make. We went to court on numerous occasions. But the big issue was ultimately reaching out to the representatives. Were they with the county? They knew about the heart and soul of Santa Clara County. There's tremendous toxic materials in Santa Clara County. And I can't imagine how you will escape that mess, because it's a huge mess and an ongoing program and a problem for probably 30 years. So that's all I have to say. It's an important decision. At a minimum.
Your time is up, sir.
Okay, at a minimum.
Valerie
The issue.
Valerie, please approach the podium.
Are there any other comment cards?
Hello, thank you for letting me speak for a minute. To me, it's like a no-brainer. You're all intelligent people. You all understand. They've been telling you and telling you, telling you. I think you know this is a real problem. I think you understand that on the west side, people can't even breathe half the time. Now we're going to the east side and putting this gigantic mega dump over there. What are we doing to our county? What are we doing to the city? It's time for everybody to just really think it through and respect the people here and respect yourselves and your families. We don't need this money. We need good quality water. We need good quality air. And we need nice places for people to just go out and picnic and have fun. We don't need a big dump behind us. And to allow these people to go and try to fleece us with this big project and everything. And I was at a city council meeting. One of the city councilmen said, well, where are they going to put it? They got to put it somewhere. That's not our problem. That's not our problem where they're going to put it. We don't need it. We deserve better. And you guys can get us better. So I hope you really go to bat and get this out of our county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joyce Amaral.
Please hold your applause.
Joyce, please approach the podium, and you will be followed up by Diana Cooley.
Any other comment cards? Wonderful. Then we can go to Zoom.
Hi, I'm Joyce Amaral, and I don't want to repeat what everyone has already said because it's been said very well. I just have an input about Hollister growing. We've gotten a lot of new homes. There's new subdivisions. We've got new schools. And then I see on those routes that were shown on the slideshow, the routes on 25 would go right past Nob Hill, Target, and all the way through town. And with our kids out, and if I was a business person, I wouldn't want to move here, start a business, and have these vehicles going right in front of my business. I mean, it would make it look like, what kind of place is this? And we have our wine area to visit. We've got a lot of beautiful sites here, like the Pinnacles, and 25 would be like horrendous. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
Diana Cooley, please approach the podium.
Then, do we have hands up on Zoom? No.
Diana Cooley, 25-year resident of Hollister. It has been a pleasure to be in Hollister to this point. I don't look forward to a possibility of an expansion on this landfill. All of the reasons that have been stated up to this point are so valid, and over again you should be hearing the same thing. I wanted to bring up another issue that until the last speaker hasn't really been stated. Just thinking about all of these trucks coming in and out on 25, going past Target, going past our grocery stores, our Ace Hardware, and all of these businesses that we all have to go to on a regular basis, fighting the traffic lights, trying to get through town to the store that we need to go to. But no, there's all these trucks in front of us that are being stopped by the many traffic lights that are in there. And just think about, right now, there has been so much discussion about just getting in and out of Hollister from Gilroy and other parts. And people are just so frustrated with that. Do you think that's going to get any better? It's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Thank you.
Okay, and through Zoom, Katja Irvin, you have been unmuted. Katja, you've been granted permission to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. My name is Katja Irvin, and I'm representing the Sierra Club Loma Prieta chapter, which covers San Benito County. The Sierra Club urges the Planning Commission to listen to the residents of San Benito County who will be subject to the substantial impacts of this massive proposed landfill expansion. Residents have clearly expressed opposition to this project. If the Planning Commission adopts a use permit, we recommend specifying maximum permitted daily tonnage of 300 tons per day and fewer trips per day. Landfills are high-impact, high-risk land uses. Landfill operations can have unanticipated impacts on air quality, greenhouse gas emissions, wildlife habitat, transportation, water quality, and water supply. A larger landfill increases the risk and the potential for impacts. CEQA is a limited process, and an EIR does not guarantee that these impacts will not occur. The potential impact on water supply is perhaps the biggest risk with the proposed landfill expansion. The more trash received per day and the larger the landfill footprint, the greater the water usage. With climate change, water supply will be less reliable. Giving so much water to one land use could impact future growth and economic development. Adopting a use permit with lower tons per day is the conservative, prudent decision for sustainable water supply. The clean closing of the Class 1 facility is a tempting carrot to incentivize approval of a larger daily tonnage limit. However, there's no guarantee it will happen. The city and the county should work together to find another way to clean close the Class 1 area sooner than maybe 15 years down the road.
Okay, Sarah Steiner, you've been unmuted.
Thank you, and just thank you to everyone who's come out repeatedly to defend quality of life in San Benito County. The problems that continue to be identified are all met with proposed mitigations, but they're all ultimately they're expensive, difficult, or impossible for this county to police or enforce. Along with the truck traffic, significant risks associated with potential for unprecedented weather events and surface and groundwater contamination cannot be prevented by this ECRW's QCB oversight. It's only identified after the fact. So I urge you to not approve the EIR and to recommend placing the general plan amendment on the ballot for a vote of the people. We are your ultimate stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob Bernowski, you have been unmuted. You may speak.
Thank you, Planning Commissioners, for taking so much public comment. I'm enjoying listening to all this, although I feel I'm late to the game because I haven't been involved in this issue for a while. But I just have to say I'm sort of a proponent of, because I see this as being recorded, of giving the right people the opportunity to address every single concern that we hear. I mean, we're hearing some honest to goodness concerns and some that, I don't know, seem a little bit weird, but why not give whoever it is, the appropriate party, time to respond to each thing before you or the county supervisors or the voters actually, foreclose on any of the ideas. The biggest thing I want to know is if any of the speakers tonight, including myself, if you had to make the decision what you're going to do for trash in 15 years, so what is the solution? Because the powers that be, they have to address this issue. Landfills and sewers are ugly, ugly things to deal with. And we have to acknowledge that. They're ugly products, but you have to deal with it if we're going to be a civil society. So anyway, I'd like to see all the issues addressed before any decision is made. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Loretta Avina, you have been unmuted. You may speak.
Thank you. So I'm Loretta Avina. I've been a Hollister and San Benito County resident for over 30 years. Besides the environmental and infrastructure impact, let's think for a moment how all of the families that live around and close to this landfill feel right at the moment. Put yourself in their shoes. Do you think for a fact or for a moment that if they knew this landfill was coming up for a possible expansion when they bought their properties, that they would indeed have bought these properties? Of course not. They are worried about their water. They're worried about their quality of life, as every citizen within San Benito County and Hollister should be. Contrary to what Mr. Bernosky just said, I do not believe or feel that we should give them any more chances to explain whatever they want to explain. We have been working at this, if I'm not mistaken, for the past 3 to 4 years. They have had plenty of time to address everything. Enough is enough. Please vote no. I would like to have a wonderful future for my grandchildren and children, free of pollutants and free of traffic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops. Bill, you've been unmuted. You may speak.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much, and good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here. And for the record, I am opposed to a large expansion. The applicant made a major request here at the last minute. They had an opportunity actually to show up and come here and explain themselves, an opportunity to apologize to the commission and to the residents, but they chose not to. This is like a honeymoon phase right now, and even in light of that, they chose not to show up. And you're supposed to be on the best behavior during this honeymoon phase, and they kind of pulled this. So I'd like you to think about that. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Sorry.
No.
I had a little warning. The last thing that I would like you to think ahead and push this forward, where we really wanted to hear what was going on, but we did from now. And in the future, if something goes wrong, we may not actually from them about what's going on, and we may not get an answer to the questions that we're looking for. I think that we did something very revealing about this particular applicant and can be projected forward as to what their behavior may look like in the future. And I hope that you take note of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair, I have no more hands raised. Oh, just kidding. Elia Salinas just raised her hand. Elia, you've been unmuted.
Ms. Salinas?
Elia?
Okay, got it, Stephanie. I got it. Okay, thank you. I gotta hurry up. Here, 2 minutes. Okay, so the question is not where are they going to go. The question is where are we going to go? Because when the landfill closes in 12 years, not 15 years lifespan, what is the next option? A transfer station, and who's going to? And the cost could be, the more you wait, it could be up to $27 million for all the process to get a transfer station. And then where is that going to go? What is that going to cost? Who is going to take our garbage? Because no one is guaranteed that, we are not guaranteed that anybody is going to take our garbage. The further it goes out of our area, the more it's going to cost. I remind you that it is policy before politics. You have three options before you tonight: rezone, CUP, and the EIR. Approve it, and you need to approve it if these folks who happen to be a loud minority, if they disagree with being the loud minority, that's fine. Then you approve it tonight, and it goes to the Board of Supervisors. Then it's up to the Board of Supervisors. It is not up to you to put it to a vote. So you must approve all three tonight, so that it can go. So you can appease them to go to a vote for the people. You have to remember that one of the most important things here is the lifespan. Where are we going to go? And by the way, Highway 25, the bypass, was specifically built to make sure that the trucks did not go through downtown, because downtown road, San Benito Street, could not handle it. 25 is built to handle trucks, and it handles big trucks every single day, from concrete, from cattle, from hay.
Thank you.
And there is one more hand.
Dios mío.
Okay, Irene Turici, you've been unmuted.
Okay. Hi, good night. I just wanted to say that I didn't realize that you would have to approve all of these items in order for it to go to a vote before the people. And I think a lot of people didn't realize that as well. And if you do that, it kind of grants them already 50%. You've already given them more than you've given the citizens of this community. And so I really want to urge you to not approve this project at all. Because if putting it to the voters means that you have to approve all these things, then you kind of are giving them an advantage. That a lot of the voters, I don't think, realized that when we were trying to get this before the voters. And so I really want you to think about that and really consider the impact that it will have on our entire county. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other hands up?
There are no more hands up.
Public comment is closed. Thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you for giving everybody the opportunity to speak, because there's other local governments who don't do that, only give 15 minutes for a small group. So thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you for repeatedly coming and sharing your thoughts. We got to know some of you over this time period. It's been wonderful. Well, let's start with Commissioner Toledo. What are your thoughts, concerns?
Well, there's absolutely no one in our county or city that I know personally that would like to approve the expansion of the landfill. And that's pretty much all I need to say right now.
Okay. Commissioner Ringhayden.
How much time do we have?
We have as much time as long as we don't start throwing rotten fruit at you, you're good.
You know, at the end of the day, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Everybody's opinion matters, you know. And I also think that it's not really my decision. It's the decision of the people I've been talking to as I walk around the community, and business owners and small business owners. And I've talked to quite a few. I think it's my job to do that. And I also have not found anybody that says, let's take out of county trash. Some people have said, let's expand, but let's only take in county trash. I think that I think I understand what the people that I've talked to want. So I think I'll just end it like that.
Commissioner Way.
Yeah, I just need to clarify something with regards to putting it to a vote of the people. I think, and I may be mistaken on this, and Bree, please correct me, or anybody, please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but while it is true that we cannot recommend that the Board of Supervisors put this on the ballot if we don't recommend that the general plan be amended in the first place, nonetheless, if we were to deny the project, deny the conditional use permit, and the applicant were to appeal, which obviously they probably will, to the Board of Supervisors, at that point, the Board of Supervisors, if they were to overrule us and go ahead and approve the conditional use permit, would have the authority to say, and by the way, we'd like to place the general plan amendment on the ballot. Is that not correct?
Correct. On appeal, they could overturn us and put it on the ballot if they chose to do so.
So I don't think it's actually true that in order for this to get onto the ballot, we would have to take the steps of certifying the EIR, making the finding of overriding considerations, and recommending the general plan amendment. Beyond that, I do have a number of issues with the conditions of approval, and I guess now probably isn't the time to go through them in detail, but just, or maybe it is, I don't know.
We'll soon see. Commissioner Scagliotti.
I have no comment at this time.
Okay. Well, I would agree. Whoop. Who's that?
Sorry.
Bree.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted, and I just wanted to follow up if it's okay on the process question that Commissioner Way had.
Go ahead.
You are correct. If you were to vote to deny the general plan amendment or recommend denial and deny the conditional use permit, it would be likely appealed and the board could make a decision. If you were to deny the conditional use permit, you could also recommend that the board put the general plan amendment on the ballot as well. What I was trying to clarify is that there is case law, because putting something on the ballot when the board does that is considered a discretionary action that the board has to comply with CEQA. So the board cannot put the general plan amendment on the ballot without certifying an EAR. The difficulty without a conditional use permit is that the project being approved is really unknown. The general plan amendment is just the land use designation, and it's the conditional use permit that's the vehicle to set the daily tonnage, to set the haul route. And so the public, if it's just the general plan amendment on the ballot without a conditional use permit, it would be unclear what project is really lingering. But in theory, the general plan amendment could go on the ballot and the conditional use permit could be approved afterwards, but the public really wouldn't understand what they were voting on, because the conditional use permit, setting the tonnage, the haul route, the trucks, all of the, the concerns you've heard about wouldn't be known without a conditional use permit.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner Way?
I think so. I would take some exception to the idea that the public wouldn't know what they were voting on, simply because there would be hue and cry in the community, and there would be ample opportunity for disclosure on both sides, and some of it accurate and some of it not.
I think Bree means the specifics, like the haul route, the tonnage, all that stuff wouldn't be
sure.
known because it wouldn't be approved at the time of the vote.
I see what you're getting at. Yes,
So it's
yes, you're
ambiguous.
right. It would be ambiguous at that point. Yes. Okay. Fair enough.
Okay. Well, I have issues with the statement of overriding considerations. And we've been working on this thing for months. We've changed mitigation measures. We've added and changed conditions, and trying to be fair to the applicant. But in good conscience, I cannot accept the statement of overriding considerations as it is. So I'm open for denial, up to the consensus of the commission, though.
I would second that.
Okay, so there's somebody want to make a motion? Commissioner?
Go ahead.
Yes. No, I would just sharing my thoughts.
Don't we have to first? I'm getting ahead of myself. Don't we have to first decide whether or not to certify the EIR?
I think we could do it all in one fell swoop. Deny the CUP, deny the certification of the EIR, and then we can deal with the general plan amendment second.
But that limits our bureaucracy.
Well, it does, but the board can override anything we do anyway, so hopefully they won't overturn us.
If there's a decision to deny the conditional use permit, you do not have to take any action on the EIR. What triggers the EIR is an approval, is taking an action, so you wouldn't have to take action on the environmental. If there is a motion that is considering denial, I would encourage that motion to be a conceptual denial and direct staff to return with written findings for denial that will be presented to the commission.
Commissioner Toledo, what are your thoughts on that? Do you make that motion?
I will agree to deny.
Okay, so you will agree with Bree's language as far as a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second? Okay, we're gonna do a roll call vote, please.
And if I may read off that motion, it would be closing the public hearing, so there would be no further public comment when we return. We would vote to close the public hearing, conceptually deny the project, and direct staff to return with written findings for denial of the conditional use permit.
Is that acceptable, maker of the motion?
Correct.
And the second?
Yes.
Okay, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Absolutely. District 1, Vincent Ringhayden.
Decline.
You agree with the motion?
I agree with
yes.
Thank you. District 2, Richard Way.
I agree with the motion.
District 3, Robert Scaliotti.
I disagree with the motion.
District 4, Robert Gibson.
Yes.
District 5, Celeste Toledo Bocanegra.
Yes.
So, go ahead.
That is a 4 to 5 vote
4
in
to
favor
1.
of denial. Sorry, 4 to 1. Thank you. In favor of denial.
Okay. Thank you. What's next on the agenda? Adjournment, right?
The commission may take action on the general plan amendment. It could either be to recommend that the board deny the general plan amendment, I don't think you would recommend the board approve it in light of your last motion, but it could also be to recommend the board put the general plan amendment on the ballot.
Is there a motion to deny the general plan amendment or a recommendation to recommend that the board put that on the ballot for some
I do not recommend that we put the motion on the ballot because we elect our officials to do the right thing. So I hope we keep that in mind.
Okay, so that was a motion to deny the recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, correct?
Yes, correct.
Second?
I'm sorry, I don't quite understand.
The general plan amendment, we're gonna recommend that the Board of Supervisors do not approve the general plan amendment.
As opposed to recommending that they put it on the ballot.
Correct. Let's just take care of it now and hope it holds. Is there a second on that one? I'll second. Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Absolutely. District 1, Vincent Ringhayden.
I want to make sure I get this right.
A yes to not recommends that the board just deny changing the general plan.
Yes.
Okay. District 2, Richard Way.
No.
Okay. District 3, Robert Scaliotti.
Yes.
District 4, Robert Gibson.
Yes.
District 5, Celeste Toledo Bocanegra.
Yes.
That is a 4 to 1 in favor of denial of recommendation for general plan amendment.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Before you adjourn, I'm sorry, Chair, if you could please continue to a date certain that we would return with written findings.
Yes, thank you. We could kick the ethics training from next week to another time and hold that hearing to
If that's
finish this. Yes, there's sufficient time for the 7th, right? Bree?
Yes.
Okay, so will the 7th work for everybody's calendar since we already have a meeting scheduled?
It will for me, yes.
Okay, and then we'll worry about finding time for the ethics training after. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion we adjourn.
Is there a
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much.